More of the Zach Gelb Show on Fox Sports 920 The Jersey.
Major weekend of college football. All get started tonight. Western Michigan, Ohio, Colorado, Washington tomorrow. We have the Temple Owls locally in action against Navy in Annapolis, Maryland. Penn State, Wisconsin coverage beginning right here on this station at 7:45. You can listen to the Big Ten championship game. We also have a lot of other good games as well. Alabama, Florida, Clemson, Virginia Tech, Oklahoma State, Oklahoma. I'm going to be glued to the TV tomorrow and also glued with my eyes on the field for my Temple Owls as they play Navy. And now joining us, just got named the head coach of UC Davis and the former head coach at Colorado and Boise State. Also did a great job for ESPN for a bunch of years as a college football analyst, and that's the coach in Dan Hawkins. Dan, Zach Gelb, always fun to talk to you, and I appreciate a few minutes. Congrats. How are you?
We are right in the middle of watching some little recruiting tape here, so I will watch with my eyes and use my mouth to communicate with you.
You gotta love it. So I know that you played your college football at UC Davis many years ago. Other than that, what was the appeal to take this new job? Congratulations, by the way.
Well, I think everybody wants to be a part of something special, and Davis is a major university. I mean, it's a nationally ranked public institution. It's a worldwide rank in many cases. But it's been a program that really has kind of been a sleeping giant. And new athletic director, new chancellor, new vision, new plans. We're getting ready to build some facilities and take care of the staff. And these guys want to be a championship-level FCS program. And so that is very exciting, and it combines my zeal for academics and a total quality student life. So it was a great fit. And we have an athletic director and Kevin Blue, who's a dynamic, visionary guy. And in fact, he just came in here. We're trying to get a new DFO, and he said, I like it when you try to drive those numbers up. I like it. We're trying to get better. I mean, he's that kind of guy. So exciting to be a part of that.
And I think they definitely have the right guy in place, too, and you have a lot of passion for the job that you do, being that is your alma mater. And right now, here in our broadcast area, South Jersey and Philadelphia, we see an FCS quarterback be the talk of this region because that's Carson Wentz, who's playing quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles. So how do you find a player like that at that level? Because we've seen those stories before, FCS players going to the NFL.
Well, back in the day, we had Kenny O'Brien, who was a first-round pick with the Jets, and there plenty of NFL quarterbacks have come from UC Davis. But I think what happens a little bit at that level, at the upper level, you start getting hung up in the stars and winning on that battle. And not to say that those aren't good players, but there's a whole bunch of guys that have a tremendous amount of ability and heart and the intangibles and maybe they haven't quite developed that people just don't really look at. And to me, that's part of the beauty of recruiting at this level is, they're not all clear-cut, but then how do you put the pieces of the puzzle together to say, is he a tough guy? Does he love football? Is he smart? Is he a team guy? Is he a winner? How hard can he work? All those things that ultimately, at the end of the day, determine how great a football player are. And, there's as many undrafted free agents in the National Football League as there are first-round picks. So certainly height, weight, size, and speed, they do have something to do with it. They do. But sometimes you get a long, tall, string bean guy, or you get a little fast guy, or you might have a little shorter type guy in the offensive line that's a real ankle biter. And to me, that's the beauty of putting all that together.
Have you seen Wentz play yet? And if so, what are your thoughts on Carson Wentz?
I'll be honest with you guys. I have not seen him play a lot. I watched him play a lot more when he was at North Dakota State, and certainly, had a fine affinity for him. I think it's interesting in the National Football League, and this is everybody always goes, you got to have a quarterback. You got to have a quarterback. Well, I get that. You do. But look at Dak Prescott, who's doing amazing things. But look at all the first-round picks that are in that offensive line. Look at Dez Bryant. Look at Zeke. You got to have the other pieces that go along with it that allow that guy to get successful. So it's not just about throwing magic pixie dust out there. You got to build some things in around him. And I see a lot of these young guys just get thrown right in the fire, and everybody expects everything to be great. Well, like I said, look at Dak's case. He's got a great supporting cast. So it's other pieces that go into the puzzle.
Yeah, and right now the Eagles clearly don't have those pieces, but I'm curious to see what they do in the next two off seasons to really get that talent around a player like Carson Wentz, because we see what's going on in Indianapolis, and that's a disaster of a situation right now. You have the quarterback and Andrew Luck, but really no help around him, as Dan Hawkins joins us right now on the Zach Gelb Show. Dan, everyone fell in love with you when you were the head coach of Boise State. We see a program now like Temple, not a Power 5 team, but having a lot of success back-to-back years. Just take me through your philosophy on how you built respect for that Boise State program.
Well, there's a lot that goes into it. And one thing I've learned in this deal, it takes everybody. You can't do it by yourself. And hey, there's good coaching and there's bad coaching. I get some of that. But I know that you cannot do it by yourself. So those guys need the support of the administration. There's financial issues. There's facility issues. All those things, because the bottom line, you've got to get players. You've got to attract players, and you got to figure out a way to attract players. Now, obviously, the culture, comes into play. That how you schedule. I mean, everybody wants to go out and play all the big boys, and that's okay. But you got to think about confidence level and building people. You can't just go out and play murderers row. That's not going to serve you well. The type of players that you get. Again, I think everybody wants to win the recruiting war, and there's something to that, but that's not everything. And you look at Alabama, who is always good in recruiting, but they're not always the number one team in recruiting. But you go get really good football players. And, Phil Snow at Temple, what they do on defense, I mean, they're bringing all kinds of funk and pressures and got a bunch of athletes. It's like a hockey team, people running in and out of there. And they've done a nice job. They got a great bunch of athletes. They're in an area that has athletes. So you've got to pull all that together, and then the school has got to say, hey, if we got a great coach, we want to keep him. We got good culture, we want to keep him. And so it's everybody rowing hard in the same direction. But if you have expectations that are above what you're willing to support, you've got problems. And you see that sometimes. We want to finish first in the conference, but we're going to pay our guys last, or our facilities are going to be last. And at Boise State, I was fortunate. They had great football culture, support from the administration, a supportive community. You could recruit there. They were willing to put the facilities, salaries, all that together. It's not a complicated formula. Now, it might be complicated to achieve, but if everybody's committed to it, it can happen.
I think they do have that support from the university at Temple. They did give Matt an extension. I'm glad, though, that you did bring up Phil Snow because that's going to be the biggest key to this game. That defense of Temple, which is top 3 in the nation statistically, going up against that lethal triple option. Will Worth is scoring 70-plus points last weekend. How do you see that matchup going down?
Well, Phil's been around for a while now. He's seen a few things, and that's certainly an advantage for the Owls. Now, Navy is a juggernaut, and the way Phil does things, there's going to be opportunities at times. I think a little bit for Navy to get after him, but also Temple is pretty athletic, and they're going to cause negative plays. They're going to cause some disruption in the backfield, and the mesh point's going to get blown up a little bit at times. I haven't broke it down, obviously, but I've seen enough of Temple this year, and I've seen enough of Navy to kind of have a general concept of what might happen there.
Let's just take it also a step further, because a little bit earlier you talked about getting the help from others when building a program. I know that you like Phillip Walker a lot in previous conversations that we've had with you.
I don't like him. I love him.
Yeah, I know you're very high on him. That offense, though, you want to help out that defense, go on some long drives this week and eat up that clock.
Yeah, this is a situation. Normally, you guys know. I mean, ball control means nothing. It's the worst. It's the worst statistic related to winning. However, when you play this squad, they will try to play keep away on you a little bit. So you need to make sure that on your end you can do the same thing, because you won't see the field for a while if you let them get back on the field.
And with both of these programs, Navy and Temple, they're both new, unique programs. They're both more than football, more Navy than compared to Temple, obviously. Everyone, though, speculates about Matt Rule and Ken Niumatalolo two really good coaches. Well, how long are they going to stay at their respective homes right now? You've been in that situation when you were at Boise when you had to deal with coaching rumors and, hey, Dan may be going to this place or this school is interested in Dan. How did you handle that as a head coach?
Well, probably not always well, I would tell you that. First of all, I hate it. I mean, it absolutely makes my stomach. You just want to coach your guys, and you know some of that stuff happens. And you have to stay extremely focused on the team and the task at hand and not get caught up in all the other garbage. And then really when it comes to you in terms of leaving, it's about the right fit. It's about the right timing. It's not always, where there's more money. You've got to look at the opportunity to win. And obviously Matt has a great situation there, and he's got a little capital going, and people, believe in him. And so you get a little juice. And we've all seen plenty of coaches, including yours truly, go from hot to not. And so you got to go where you got the opportunity to win football games, and you're going to get supported, and that's got to be better than the place that you're at currently. I mean, if you're in a top quarter of your conference and you're going to go take a job that's in the bottom quarter of another conference, then what are they going to do to help you get back up to the top quarter of that conference? All those things matter.
So at the time, why did you think Colorado was the right job for you?
Well, it's the right fit at that time. It was in the West. Boulder's a beautiful place to live. They had won the national championship before, really felt like they wanted to get back to that. It was a great place for my family. It was a great place for me. I'd been at Boise State for some time, needed a challenge, wanted a challenge. So those were some of the things that went into that decision.
And when it comes to the game tonight, I know you got ties to this one, obviously being the former head coach of Colorado, and one of your former assistants is now the head coach of Washington. How do you think Washington-Colorado goes down tonight?
Well, obviously Mike's got them playing extremely hard, and the Buffs are rolling. Physically, obviously Washington has a huge advantage in my mind, and so it'll be interesting to see. But Mike's done a good job getting those guys to play hard. It's a great game. I'm looking forward to seeing it. I guess off of chalk, you'd have to go with Washington a little bit here. Just physically, I think they're a little better across the board.
Dan Hawkins with us right now on the Zach Gelb Show. Dan, let's get to a game with a lot of college football implications potentially on the line. That's Penn State, Wisconsin. How about the story of James Franklin? Because we talk about the desire of other schools to get coaches. He finally gets that Penn State job. And up till a few weeks ago, some people at Penn State weren't sold on the job of James Franklin. And that blocked field goal really changed their entire season and his fate.
Well,
you got to love that, right? As a coach, you got to love like a situation like that, right?
Well, yeah, but again, how this thing goes, it's like, oh, we got James Franklin.
Stupid.
He's the greatest thing since sliced bread. And then all of a sudden, oh, no, is he the guy? We don't think he can do it. And then you have a miraculous, and oh, yeah, he is the guy. And you go from he can recruit, but he can't coach, to now, oh, isn't he amazing? I mean, the storylines that come out always amaze me, but I mean, this guy's a good guy. He's a good coach. He's a good recruiter, and I'm happy for him to see a good guy have some success. But he came extremely close. Probably should have beat Ohio State before, and was able to get it done this time. And I mean, it's tough in this business, but yeah, I'm happy for them. I think they've done a nice job offensively, getting great quarterback play. Obviously, you got Saquon Barkley, which is a great player, but they're getting really dynamic quarterback play. So to me, I'm really happy for them. Now, on the other side of it, you got a really tough, hard-nosed Wisconsin football team. I think it'll be a heck of a ball game.
Yeah, I can't wait to see that Wisconsin defense against that Penn State offense. Just taking it one step further, just because we have you on with the coaching perspective. When people are writing, oh, this guy should get fired or this guy should take this job, how much do you as a coach actually read what's being written?
Hey, when you're coaching, I'll be honest with you, even it's like right now. I mean, I have a Twitter account and I have Facebook, and I hardly get on there. But when you're in the throes of it, you don't look at it at all, and you can't. Otherwise, it'll drive you crazy. I mean, it's just too much. There's just too much drama going on in there, so you just don't. Now, where it does affect you a little bit because you're your sports information director, you hear it for some of your kids, and you know the storylines that are going on out there, and it bothers you from that standpoint because they're affected by it. But there's no doubt it has a huge effect, and I don't want to get on the media is bad because I've been part of it. I don't mean that, but there's a certain segment that can sway it one way or another. And if you get too much negative energy going in one direction, you can't stop it.
Sometimes we also forget that coaches, they're humans too, and you guys have families as well. Was there ever an incident maybe when you were at a school or another where you didn't know there was a story out there, but one of your family members did and they brought it up to you?
No, not necessarily. I mean, again, my crew kind of stays out of that too.
Gotcha.
It's called conflama, which is conflict and drama, and you just
I like that.
And again, guys, I mean, I've been in TV. I've done this a little. I get it. I get the storylines. What's the good thing we can say? What's the bad thing we can say? What's the high? What's the low? What's the concern? I get it. I've been there. I've done it. Okay, but if you did those things, I don't know if you got kids, Zach, but if you ever have kids, if you raise your kids like that, you're going to struggle. I mean, you try to stabilize. And you try to quit dealing with the conflama, but. That's the nature of the world we have. There's too many websites, TV stations, radio stations. There's too many people trying to get, consumers to buy in on it, and everybody wants something glitzy. They want something that's eye-popping one way or another.
Dan Hawkins, before we let you run, I got two scenarios that I want to throw at you. For the college football playoff, assuming Clemson wins, we know they're going to be in. Ohio State is going to get in, and Alabama's going to get in. Scenario number one, who do you think that fourth team is going to be? Who would you do it if you were the college football committee?
Boy, I don't know. I mean, I have a hard time believing. I said, why don't we just give it to the four teams that got championship games, give it to the champions? I mean, I have a hard time believing, Penn State wins, so they beat Ohio State, they don't get in?
Yeah, it makes no sense. What? You're right. It's a very bizarre situation, and that just gives the argument of, well, maybe we should expand this thing and do an 8-team playoff.
Yeah, I don't know that I'm in favor of that per se, but I mean, maybe you get to 6 and you rest 1 and 2, and because it's hard, they get beat up, and it's not the best team, it's the healthiest team. But I just think it's ludicrous. Are we judging these guys when they say the best team or the most deserving? No. Well, wait a minute. I mean, are we getting a bunch of NFL scouts in a room and saying these guys have the best talent, therefore they're the best team, potentially the best team? Or are we saying, hey, Penn State beat Ohio State, they won the Big Ten championship, they should be in?
No, it's no question. This thing, it's going to be so interesting. It's going to be just so much chaos, especially have an upset or two, because then maybe Michigan gets the door back open. I don't think Michigan should get in, although I do think they're one of the best 4 teams in the country, but that loss last week and killed them. The other scenario that I want to throw out at you right before we let you run, final one with Dan Hawkins, who joins us right now on the Zach Gelb Show. You see a situation, you have an undefeated Western Michigan team. If Western Michigan beats Ohio tonight, is there any chance for Navy or Temple to represent the Cotton Bowl spot?
Oh, boy, I don't know. I'm sure there is one out there. I'm knee-deep trying to recruit a quarterback right now. I haven't examined the landscape that tight right now.
Actually, real quickly, let's say if I was a quarterback right now and you wanted me to come to UC Davis, what would your recruiting pitch be?
Well, you're going to be in one of the top public institutions in the country, easily in the top 10, 15 public institutions in the country, recognized worldwide. You got a great climate. You're in California. You got the Bay Area that's an hour and a half away. You got the mountains of Tahoe that's an hour and a half away. And you're going to be part of a program really that's being backed by finances and resources, not just magic, not just hocus pocus, not just rhetoric. And if you want to be a part of that. Now, as a quarterback, this place has had a number of NFL quarterbacks. It's got great lineage. So, to me, we're got to be a great student. So any of your guys out there, you got to, 3.5, they got to be in the 3.0 range, but they want a world-class education, want to play some great football and get out here where the weather's pretty nice. Send them on out to the Eggs.
Sign me on up, Coach. Best of luck with the new job, and thanks so much. We'll talk to you again down the road.
All right, guys. Peace. Bye.
Thanks so much. There's Dan Hawkins joining us. One of my favorite rants of all time. It's Division I football. Go play intramurals, brother. Go play intramurals. When he was at Colorado. Always loved talking football with him. Brings a very good perspective. I told you, that college football playoff is going to be nuts. The Big Ten champion or Washington, one of those teams are going to get screwed. You know Ohio State's in. And I don't have a problem putting Ohio State in. You know Alabama's going to get in. You know Clemson with the win is going to get in. Then it comes down to the Big Ten champion or Washington. That's what it's going to come down to. It's going to be a tough decision for the committee. And there's going to be a lot of backlash. Maybe we do see expansion. Maybe it's still a few years away. I don't know. 609-919-9200. This is the Zach Gelb Show. By the way, Dan Hawkins saying, I don't know, Zach, maybe you have kids or something. I'm 22 years old. If I have kids at 22 years old, that's a problem. I do not have kids.